Forgotten shadows of Fidelity. Jack and Emma had spent nearly 40 years together. Their marriage could serve as an example to many. Solid, built on mutual respect, trust and love that helped them through life's trials. They met as young people in a small Detroit suburb, growing up alongside a generation for whom family was the foundation of life and its greatest value. It was a love nurtured by simple days walks in the park, shared meals, conversations by the fireplace, and quiet evenings beneath the stars. Their life was full of routines and traditions. Jack loved waking early to make coffee and greet the morning, gazing out at the empty street. Emma adored the warmth of home and spent much time in the kitchen, preparing dishes steeped in memory, a piece of childhood linked to grandmother's recipes. Together they built a house. Every nail hammered in was like a sign of their union and hope for a happy future. Family was their pride too, children who gave their lives meaning. Raising them was sacred to both Emma and Jack. They supported them in school, hikes and friendships, striving to protect them from all the storms of the outside world. The children grew up and began independent lives, leaving the parents alone again, just as happens with many couples who have weathered decades together. But over time their souls slowly drifted apart, like two parallel rivers flowing in the same direction, but along entirely different paths. Their everyday conversations grew colder, filled with silence and unspoken thoughts. Emma felt that life with Jack was becoming a succession of chores and habitual gestures that no longer stirred her heart like they once did. Jack, in turn, noticed her smile less and less, sensing an increasing chill in her gaze. At first, the winds of change blew gently small steps. Emma decided to find herself outside the home to try a new job where she could feel useful and needed. Working at a newly established art gallery in the city centre gave her a breath of fresh air. There, surrounded by beauty, art, unusual people and rich emotions, she experienced something different from the measured life she had known, and that began to change everything. Among the gallery staff was Michael, a bright and free-spirited man. He was no ordinary employee. Michael was an artist and a dreamer, someone who saw the world through a special lens and felt the colors of life more deeply than most. He heard what Emma did not say to herself and gave her soul those feelings she had long forgotten. At first, their relationship was strictly professional and innocent. Conversations about exhibitions, discussions of paintings and artistic trends. But the fine line between friendship and something more was crossed gradually, not immediately, as if life itself was nudging them forward. Meetings beyond work, shared interests, and mutual understanding made them inseparable. Michael gave Emma a sense of special significance she lacked in her marriage. Jack, absorbed in his work and personal struggles, did not notice the change right away. He tried to dismiss his inner suspicions, assuring himself it was nothing more than a fleeting fancy or just a work relationship. But gradually he saw that Emma was reluctant to come home, becoming more distant and colder in conversation. This was a profound crisis for both of them. For Emma, a deep conflict between love and duty, freedom and obligation. For Jack, a devastating blow to everything in which he had believed and fought for. One evening, arriving home unexpectedly early, he saw what he did not want to admit. Emma and Michael stood at the restaurant's entrance, their bodies closer than friendship would allow. Jack felt turmoil and collapse inside, as if the foundation of his life had crumbled in an instant. What followed were months filled with silence, resentment, attempts to find someone to blame, and inner confusion. They experienced a range of emotions, from anger to sorrow, from despair to the desire to understand and preserve what was precious. Emma regretted what she had done, not because she was caught, but because she realized she had betrayed the love that meant everything to her. But rather than part ways, they chose to fight. Some might call this naivety, others the power of true love. They began therapy together and separately. The psychologist's office became a place where they first openly spoke about their fears, imperfections, and hopes. Walls of indifference and distrust fell, doors of understanding and forgiveness opened. The path to recovery was long and uneven. Emma learned to accept the past and take responsibility for her actions, rebuilding trust from scratch. Jack learned to see Emma not just as a wife, but as a human being with weaknesses and desires, to avoid getting lost in resentment and to move toward each other. Every day spent together became a small victory over the past. They sought new ways to express love in daily care, unexpected tender gestures, joint travels, and simply in the shared silence of evening. They discovered that happiness is not the absence of problems, but the ability to walk together, holding each other's hand through any trials. On this long journey, they rediscovered themselves and each other, realizing that love is complex and ambiguous, but incredibly precious. Their marriage grew deeper than before, not because they never faced hardships, but because they managed to overcome them together. The story of Jack and Emma is a reminder that life is never perfect, and sometimes the hardest blows become catalysts for change and growth. It's a tale of love that can endure pain and betrayal to be reborn and shine with new colors. In the heart of America, amid endless plains and bustling cities, there is room for such stories, alive, authentic, and full of hope. As time passed, Jack and Emma's life was filled not only with shadows of betrayal, but with light from new discoveries. They realized that after 40 years of shared journey, each of them had changed, not only outwardly but inwardly. The person who once seemed as familiar as their own shadow now felt like another universe to explore anew. Emma often remembered the moment she first met Michael. His easy smile, his multifaceted views on art and life, his ability to listen not just to words but to the soul. In those encounters lay not only betrayal, but a deep need for understanding and recognition. She realized that years of silence led her inner thirst for life to seek an outlet elsewhere. Jack, despite the pain and disappointment, found strength to forgive not only Emma, but himself as well. He saw not only the betrayal, but his own unspoken, unsaid moments, times when he could have been more attentive and loving, but chose instead to retreat into himself and work. He understood that love is not just joy, but responsibility that requires constant effort and willingness to change. They no longer tried to hide their flaws from each other. Their conversations grew deeper, and topics they once avoided surfaced more often. Every honest glance, every confession helped cleanse their wounds and fill them with new meaning. Light returned to their home not only through renewed relationship, but in small details. Cooking dinner together, choosing a movie to watch, discussing a book they both read. They created a new ritual and evening on the porch with a cup of tea and talks about what truly mattered. Their children sensed that something important was happening in the house. They saw that their parents were not perfect, but unbroken, loving each other despite the difficulties. For them, this was an example that relationships are a journey that constantly evolves. Meanwhile, Emma decided to expand her activities. She began organizing exhibitions and cultural evenings, inviting local artists, building a small community around herself. This gave her a sense of fulfillment and independence, something she had always sought. Michael, once the symbol of her betrayal, faded into the background as part of the past one from which they drew lessons for the future. Jack, feeling that he did not want to live in constant fear and suspicion, began dedicating more time to himself. Rekindled friendships, took up gardening, and started visiting the swimming pool, which helped him manage stress. He realized that loving means caring not only for a partner, but also for oneself. Time did not erase their trials, but made them less sharp. Their love became not a bright flash, but a warm light that warmed their souls. They learned not to wait for perfect conditions to feel happiness and ceased idealizing the past. In the darkness of betrayal, they found the path to the light of forgiveness, which opened new horizons to them. Each became gentler in gaze, smoother in motion, and more sincere in conversations. Truly understanding each other's value, they continued walking side by side down life's road, where every day was a small but important miracle. Thus ends their long-awaited story, not a fairy tale with a perfect ending, but a real life, where love can be complicated, sometimes painful, but eternal when cherished. If you wish, I can provide more vivid descriptions of specific situations from their life after the crisis, inner reflections, memories, or expand on their surroundings and further lessons. Just let me know.